evening. So, today as part of this session, we'll be discussing a topic which forms part of your internal security issues. Under which paper does internal security come? Huh? Internal security. GS paper 3. In that you have specifically a topic which was mentioned in GS paper 3 concerning your money laundering and its prevention. Money laundering and its prevention. Why is this topic in news? Why money laundering is in news? Why money laundering as a topic? Amendment has been made recently. What is the change in amendment? So what is the designated act that we follow in India with respect to money laundering? PMLA 2002. PMLA stands for 2002. This was enacted in the year 2002. So now firstly, what do you mean by money laundering? What is money laundering? What is money laundering? And what is the impact of this money laundering? Basically, if I am talking about money laundering, its inherent impact is on economic security of a nation. Immediate in the sense the prudent reason for this money laundering activity is the economic security of any nation is being threatened. What do you mean by economic security? What is meaning of economic security? What is economic security? Economic security. Economic security. Inherent meaning of economic security. What does it mean? Economic security is provided to who? It is provided to who? Economic security. To the government or to the common man? To the people. Obviously to the people. So in terms of economic security, what are you providing? What do you mean by economic security in the first hand? If you understand what is the economic security means, then only you can link it how this economic security is impacted by money laundering activities. So what is economic security? How is it ensured to the common man? How is it ensured? Economic security ante basic, whatever the basic essentials of his life, that has to be provided to the common man, like applicability of universal basic income for his self-sustenance, for his essential communities. You have to provide him certain remunerative amount for his sustenance. That is what is known as economic security. Does economic security has any impact with respect to money laundering? Have you heard the term called Gresham's law? Gresham's law. Gresham's law. Have you heard this? A term in economics. There is something called as Gresham's law, which says that in economy there is always a tendency that bad money kills the good money. Bad money kills the good money. What is the meaning of bad money here? And what is good money here? What is good money? Whichever is legal tender, whichever money we consider as a legal tender, which is commonly accepted for our economic transactions, which is legally acceptable, whatever currency notes that were in place or that were in circulation in our current economy, all this has a legal tender that has to be accepted. Whereas bad money means bad money, which is an illegal. Parallel? What is parallel economy again? What is parallel economy? Legal? Illegal possession of money. Does all that comes under parallel economy? All illegal possession of money comes under parallel economy? Not, not inherently. Parallel economy means something which is unaccounted in your basic financial system. That can be also said as parallel economy. But that parallel economy always need not be illegal. It can also be some legitimate means as well. If you are borrowing some money from any money lenders, that also acts as a parallel economy. That transaction is not being accounted in your financial system, but that is the legitimate source. That's not an illegitimate source. So parallel economy inherently cannot be illegal. So whatever bad money that we are calling, that has a propensity which is generated only through illegal means. So will this statement justify as per Gresham's law? Will bad money kill good money? In economic parlance, he says that always if there is excess of bad money in an economy, it kills the good money. Will this situation happens? Will this statement stand true? Yes or no? If there is excess of illegitimate money in your economic system, obviously circulation of that money will be increased. So good money is valuable or bad money is valuable? Which money is valuable? Both are same. So if there is abundance of bad money in the economy, when I am talking about bad money, it is an easy money which is acquired through illegal means. So easy money obviously kills the hard-earned money. It has a propensity to kill the hard-earned money or the good money. That is what this Gresham's law states. This holds very relevance when we talk about money laundering system. Money laundering system. So now, according to United Nations Human Rights Declaration, which happened in 1994, the United Nations Human Rights Declaration has said that for overall well-being of a person, all his security needs has to be taken into consideration. In that aspect only, there is a term called human security. Human security also needs to be ensured. When I am talking about human security, it includes various other components as well. His social needs, political needs, societal needs, his economic needs. On top of that, his human security should also be ensured. What do you say human security means? What is human security? Human security basically consists of two components. What are they? When do you say that a human is secure? Law and order. Next. Human security. Right to life. So whatever you are telling, all this comes under two components, major two components. Freedom from fear, freedom from want. Two components. Freedom from fear and freedom from want. If both these components were justified, we can ensure human security of any particular individual. That is what is mentioned in United Nations Human Rights Declaration in the year 1994. That was the first year international convention which focused on human security. This human security aspect, under this human security aspect only, your economic security also comes. Your economic security also needs to be followed. So now, what is globalization? Globalization. What is globalization? Opening up of your economy from an inward looking economy into an outward looking economy. So what are the inherent advantages of globalization? Foreign investment, okay. Interactions. So there is an integration in the international markets. When integration has happened with respect to international markets, all your economic agreements, exports, imports, foreign reserves, all this obviously comes into your country. So there is integration in international market. On top of that, what are the other advantages? When you are opening up, whatever events or circumstances whatever illegitimate sources that is happening in your country should happen in a global scale. Your market, you're opening it up. Money laundering cannot happen only in your domestic territory. There has to be some international exposure. There has to be some international cooperation. So whatever activity that you are confining to, it can happen at a large scale. The global scale, it can happen at a global scale. Lot many countries gets involved in it as well. So the scope of any illegitimate activity has increased with the advent or introduction of globalization. For whatever, if you are talking about illegal drugs can happen in a global scale as well. You can export it with the opening up of globalization. That has got a direct impact on all the illegitimate trafficking events, be it arms and weapons exportation, or be it drug trafficking, or be it any prostitution clubs being run up. So all these have a direct impact, and it is going on at an international scale. So this has opened up. The globalization has opened up the scope for illegitimate activities as well. So that is one inherent disadvantage of globalization when you talk about the international illegal activities which were taking up in our economy. So now, what is an economy? What is an economy? What is economy? Basic. What? Economy. Relationship between supply and demand. Consumption, distribution. So it is an area of your production, distribution and consumption of whatever goods and services are happening within a territory of a country. That is what is known as economy. So this economy can happen in two ways. One is your formal economy and the other one is your informal economy. One is the organized economy. Your formal economy is also an organized economy. Informal economy is unorganized economy. So two levels, two types of economies can take place. In the same scenario, even economies can be classified in as a legal economy and illegal economy. Whatever transactions are happening which are legal, which are in consonance with the existing, pre-existing international laws and national laws, that comes under your legal economy. Whatever economic transactions are occurring in illegitimate means, they comes under your illegal economy. Basic classification of your economy. So money laundering comes under which head? Money laundering comes under illegal economy. So what is this money laundering? Money laundering. What is the meaning of laundering? Laundering. What is the meaning of laundering? Laundering. You often give your clothes for a laundry. To remove what? To remove what? Why do we give clothes for laundry? To wash. To clean the dirt. That's it. To clean your... So whatever dirty money is available, that needs to be washed. That needs to be cleaned. That needs to be laundered. That is what is known as money laundering. The dirty money should be laundered so that its illegitimate, illegal source of authority is changed into a legitimate source or legal source. So there is a transformation happening with respect to your money from illegal means to legal means. You are making it a formal system. That is what is known as money laundering in simple terms. So what is money laundering defined anywhere? Who defined money laundering? Money laundering, is it defined anywhere in our constitution? Yes or no? No. Which act specifically talks about money laundering? Money laundering. That was made in 2002. Before that, do you think only in 2002 money laundering activities has started in India? No, it used to happen long back itself. So which convention talks about money laundering? Even if you consider the global conventions, the international global efforts which were made to counter this money laundering activities. So first act was made by the United Nations Vienna Convention. Vienna Convention. This was the first measure, Article 3 of Vienna Convention. Of 1988. It specifically defined the exact definition of what is money laundering. What is money laundering? So it is basically transforming your illegitimate source of income, which is earned through various unorganized activities, that is transformed into your legal tender money. That is what is known as money laundering. So now, how much do you think this laundered money is generated every year? What is the figure through which you convert this illegal money into legal money every year? To what extent of your global GDP or world GDP? What could be? How much percentage of GDP is contributed by this money laundering activity? To what extent? It is 3.9% of world GDP. Almost 3.9% of world GDP is sourced through this money laundering activities, as per the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. As per that particular report, United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. According to its report, it was 3.9% of global GDP. And out of this 3.9%, almost 2.7% of the GDP, which is almost equivalent to 1.5 to 2 billion dollars, is already in circulation all across the world. That much of money is being laundered. Out of 3.6, 2.7% of money is already laundered, and it was brought back into the formal economic system. When it was brought back into the formal economic system, it acts like your good money only. The bad money, the nature and character of that bad money is changed into good money. How does that happen and all? We'll be discussing it. So before that, to an extent of 3.9% of global GDP, this money laundering is generating revenue every year. And it is also estimated by the International Monetary Fund that this figure is going to reach 5% of GDP in the coming future. 5% of world GDP in the coming future. That was the projection which was put forth by the International Monetary Fund. So now, what are the various sources through which this illegal money is sourced? Illegal money sources. What are the sources through which illegal money can be generated? Tax evasion. What is tax evasion? What is tax evasion? Tax evasion means, what is evasion? Sorry? Escaping from not paying tax to the government. You are evading the tax, means you are not paying the tax. Who does that? Who can do that? Who can do that? Avoiding non-payment of taxes to the government. It can be done by individuals, it can be done by corporations, anyone can do it. So when we are talking, but when we talk about money laundering, it cannot happen from an individual perspective. It can happen from an individual perspective if it includes a huge sum of amounts. If politicians are corrupted, some corrupt activities, because of some corrupt activities, if they are earning some billions of dollars, then that money can be avoided by paying tax, because he cannot show why this much of money is being credited into his account. Then that needs to be refined from illegitimate sources to legitimate sources. That needs to happen. How tax evasion happens? You are evading taxes. Basically, the big multinational companies, to avoid paying government huge sums of money, they can avoid paying taxes by evading the taxes. How can they do that? How can multinational companies do that? They undervalue their turnovers. Okay. So despite undervaluing, even if they are earning some huge amounts of money, if they are undervaluing it, if there is an inquiry, if enforcement directorates check their financial statements and all, they are under obligation to repay it back. So hiding something works only till certain extent, but not completely. So in tax evasion, it is not like undermining whatever financial transaction happens. In tax evasions, if there is a high net worth individual or some multinational company, if they are earning some crores of rupees, they can avoid taxes by forming some shell companies. What do you mean by shell companies? Companies means which are only on paper, but they do not have any designated purpose. No business will be happening with respect to those shell companies. Only on paper they exist, that's it. Only to show that from our company, we are investing on that particular company. It exists only on paper, but no economic transactions or production of goods and services happen. So basically all the multinational companies, they choose some certain destinations where the tax rate is very low or very minimum. There are many favorite destinations for the large multinational companies and high net worth individuals. What are those few common destination countries to avoid taxes? Singapore, Mauritius Islands, not Singapore actually. Indonesia, some islands in Indonesia. Panama Islands, Mauritius, and even Cayman Islands. These are some favorite destinations where all your, even the Switzerland, Swiss also acts as a tax evasion destination for a lot of high net worth individuals and multinational companies. They will be diverting all the funds or the profits that they are generating through illegitimate means in our country, and those funds will be diverted to those popular destinations. Even if they have diverted that money also, the taxation system which was prevalent in those countries were very less. Very minimum amount of taxes they need to pay for the amount they are investing in their particular economy, be it in their stock exchanges or investing in their country's assets. Even if they do so also, very minimum amount of tax which the country collects. So they are the favorite destinations for a lot of individuals. So they pool in all those resources to those favorite destinations. After that, what happens? After pooling all the resources to those favorite destinations, even the banking system which is prevalent in those countries also strictly adhere to secrecy and anonymity. Whatever transactions are happening, they follow a strict policy of anonymity or secrecy. All the financial transactions which were happening with those country banks will not be disclosed in any international arenas or platforms. So they are not going to give you any data with respect to bank transactions happening in their country. So the banking system, whatever the KYC norms that we are seeing in our regular banking financial systems, these KYC norms and all were not very much stringent in those particular tax evading countries. So obviously the secrecy is maintained, anonymity is maintained, there is easy flow of money and less amount of tax you are paying on those countries when you are diverting funds for that particular country. So it acts as a tourist destination, like to pool money, to pool illegitimate money, it acts as a destination. By that source, you can convert your illegally, illicitly, whatever money that you have earned, that can be brought into the formal system. That is one source of illegitimate money. On top of this, you have corruption. If someone is involved in corruption related activities, obviously he gets access to lot of money. Again, that money can be channelized into various options. What could be another source of illegitimate money? Drug peddling. Can I say it as an organized crime? Organized crimes. Whatever organized crimes that are happening all across the globe. like drug peddling, human trafficking, arms and weapons supply. All this comes under your organized crime. Whatever organized crime is happening, through that sources also you can acquire some illegitimate money. So these are the sources of illegitimate money. Clear? So now how money laundering process works. What is the process of money laundering? How the illegal money is integrated into the formal system. Round tripping, DT, ante double taxation avoidance agreement. What is the process? I am asking about the process. What are the stages that are involved to convert that illegitimate money into your legitimate money? Same? Reinvesting in the how that happens. There has to be some process, right? So what are the steps involved for converting your illegitimate money into a legitimate source? The bad money converting into good money. Whatever the money that you have accumulated by some unorganized crime, by corruption or tax evasion, being integrated in your formal economy as a good money. How? So there are, basically it follows 3 steps. One is your placement. Second is your layering. Third is your integration. So now tell me, what is placement? What is placement? What is placement? Criminally derived money is placed into the financial system. How is it placed? Placements means whatever illegal money that you have collected, is brought into and placed into the system. How it is placed? How can that be placed? Illegal cash is brought and placed in the financial institutions. How can that happen? How can you place illegal money into the financial system of any country? Through? There is something called as smurfing. 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 The technique which is used to place illegal money into a country's financial system. It is known as smurfing. Smurfing means breaking down large volumes of money into small amounts and integrating. Like if you have 100 crores, that 100 crores will be distributed into small amounts. 1 lakh transactions happen for that 100 crores or 10 lakh transactions can happen. That is what is known as smurfing. The process of smurfing or the technique of smurfing happens. By using or adhering to this process of smurfing, whatever illegal money that you are having, that is placed into the official financial system. That is the first stage of introducing this illegal money into the system, into your financial system. After smurfing means, I told you that it happens. How does it happen? Introducing large sums of money and breaking down into smaller amounts. By that way, official transactions happen. Next stage is, if in the process of placement, is the source of origin visible? If someone wants to know from which source I am getting this money, is that source of origin visible? Yes or no? In common sense, in general sense, yes or no? No. Why no? Basically it is visible. When you are placing if I have 100 crores and I am distributing it into 1000 transactions and I am donating and I am transferring it from one particular country to another country. So the source of origin is visible or not? In the first sense, in the placement stage, the source of origin and the source of transaction is very much clearly visible. is very much clearly visible. In order to overcome that, there is another second stage called as layering. In the layering process, the source of origin becomes very difficult. It cannot be visible. The only agenda of layering process is in order to ensure that the source of origin should be invisible. So the layering process happens. Layering means taking up some complex financial transactions, making more complex financial transactions. So by adhering to this complex financial transactions, you are taking away the source of money from one particular country to various faraway destinations. You cannot even predict the origin of money, whatever you are getting. So here, if 1,000 transactions are happening in the process of layering, by adhering to complex financial transactions, you create some 1 lakh transactions or 100 lakh transactions. That happens in the layering. So ultimately, it becomes very difficult for any authority to trace or track the origin of money from where it is coming. Obviously, in every subsequent stage, the origin gets diluted. The original owner of that amount will obviously get invisible. He will be very difficult to find out the owner or the origin from where this money is being generated. This process happens. And for all this process to happen, can this happen with any one particular individual or with any one particular country? Yes or no? There has to be a network of individuals, network of countries, network of various institutions. All their cooperation needs to be there. If not, you cannot do this process. It is not as simple as explaining it. It is very huge some process. You need to have the support of officers who are working in financial institutions, your central bank. You have to have a contact with the central bank officers in each respective country. Even you need to have contact with illegal drug mafia holders, some criminal activities, whoever are involved, their support has to be needed. Some bureaucrats, government official support needs to be needed. So if you go on adding up everyone who is a stakeholder in the government process, financial institutions, everyone's support is required. If not, this cannot happen. Even international countries, country to country cooperation also needs to be established. If not, this cannot happen. Have you heard this word called Hawala? Hawala transactions. Have you heard the word Hawala? What do you mean by Hawala? Hawala transactions. Hawala transactions ante? Parallel remittance. Could you elaborate on this? Parallel remittance. Hawala transactions ante? Hawala transactions. We often see them in movies. How does it happen? Note pieces? So, Hawala transactions is the most informal way of transaction. So, it is not accounted in the formal system. There is no record, there is no bond, or there is no assurance, no surety, nothing is there. Hawala transactions only happens on the name of trust. Trust among various individuals. If I trust you, I will give you something. You go to some other destination and show that. So it also follows a sequence of layering process. That happens. So it is mostly dependent on the trust and mouth-to-mouth communication. That's it. No official records are maintained. No financial transactions happens. Only it happens through illegitimate sources. So even the transfer of money also does not happen. Let's say you are stationed in a country A, which is in India. You have to convert whatever illegitimate money that you have. 100 crores of money I have in country A. That needs to be converted and handed over to some other person who is residing in country B. You can take the help of this Hawala dealers. They act as an intermediaries, the brokers, the professionals. They are highly professional in terms of continuing this all types of financial transactions where the source, illegitimate sources cannot be even tracked by official international intelligence agencies as well. That much system and network were established by those Hawala professionals. They are not like illiterate people. They are very much professionals. They have access to most advanced technologies. All these are available at their resort. They can do anything. So if I want to convert this 100 crores of rupees from country A to country B, I need not directly send money from this country to that country. That does not happen. If I employ or talk to some Hawala dealer, obviously this happens within no time, in seconds. That can happen. No money is transferred or nothing is exchanged. But the person who is residing in country B, that person can receive 1,000 crores. That much of network, that networking has established for all these illegal activities to happen. That is what is known as Hawala transactions. So there are various ways in which layering process happen. Basically, we adhere to some complex financial transactions so that it even becomes very difficult for anyone to find the source or destination, who is the owner and from which source that I am getting this money. Lot of multiplicity of transactions happens, which makes this process even more worrisome or tiresome. No one can find it. No one can find it. Even the international agencies also cannot find it. So whatever, even if some high net worth individuals are there, what happens in the official formal financial banking systems? If you are getting some illegitimate money from any external sources, there always has something called as red flags. Red flag, you call it red flag in financial terms. A red flag triggers in the financial system. If a huge sum of money or huge sum of transactions is happening with respect to your bank accounts, then a red flag, what you call red flag alert, will be sent to the financial institution. So obviously, you will be under the radar of the financial department. They can put a radar on you and look into your transactions. That alert can be provided. Whatever transactions are even happening with all of us also, there is a red flag alertness which was put forth by the financial institution. That technology is there in every country. That is there in every country. So through official means, you cannot convert or access very huge sums of money. Officially, you will be brought into the limelight. You will be tracked. You will be under the radar. And you can be, any enforcement directorate, any ED can come to your resort, can check your financial statements, and even can question you. If you are held liable, obviously the penal charges, whatever are there, that consequences you need to face it. So in legal system, we cannot convert this illegal money into legal money. So that is why we adhere to various other alternative options. So this is the process of layering. Once this layering process is done, obviously the ultimate aim is to convert this black illegitimate money into good legal money. There has to be some integration in the formal system. How does this integration happen? How does integration happen? So I have distributed my 100 crores to some 1 lakh individuals in small chunks of money. So those chunks of money also got again layered. Layered means the origin. Like I have made transactions with all of you guys. The same amount of 100 crores, the same amount of 100 rupees I am transacting with every one of you. You are sending me, I am sending that person, and from there to here, again it is coming to me. If I have complicated the whole system, the source of origin cannot be identified. If that has happened, then from that particular country, whoever 1 lakh individuals I have supplied or distributed this income, they bring this money into the formal system. They bring it into the formal system. They will be integrating it into the formal system. How can they integrate? How can people integrate? In the form of investments. The major source of foreign investments are FDIs and FIIs, foreign direct investment or foreign institutional investments. If not, They can invest in some, buying some luxury goods, high worthy cars or luxury items, by buying some metals, commodities. They can buy some chartered flights, whatever way they wanted to bring in, they can get into this system. They can integrate it into the system. If not, they can use this money. They can buy some cryptocurrencies as well. Now, as the technology has emerged, cryptocurrencies got into place. We have introduced this cryptocurrencies. All over the world, cryptocurrency transactions are acceptable or not? Acceptable or not? I am talking about the acceptability of transactions. Cryptocurrency transactions are acceptable, but they do not act like a legal tender. If you want to buy, you can buy. But even if you are in India, if someone is from Sri Lanka, anywhere across the world, anyone can buy cryptocurrencies. There is no limit on buying or accessing cryptocurrencies. Everyone can have access to cryptocurrency. What is cryptocurrency? It is a digital currency. Digital currency. What is the major inherent advantage of cryptocurrency? Blockchain technology. So there is end-to-end encryption. There is a lot of anonymity involved. Secrecy is involved. You cannot track it. Cryptocurrency. The major inherent advantage is there is anonymity. And another major advantage is cryptocurrency. Whatever digital currency, that digital and virtual currency. Basically, cryptocurrency means digital and virtual currency. That is not a real currency. Hand-to-hand transactions cannot happen. Some of the examples of cryptocurrencies are your Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple. All these are your cryptocurrencies. So that is just your virtual money. That is not the real money. That is just a virtual digital money. So whatever money that you are having, whatever layering process you have undergone, you can buy some cryptocurrencies with that. Yes or no? By buying or accessing such cryptocurrencies also, you are bringing that system into formal economies. In some countries, trading of cryptocurrencies is legal. In India, it is not a legal tender. It is not a legal tender, which is not commonly accepted. But in various countries across the world, it is a legal tender. So by buying those cryptocurrency and accessing cryptocurrencies also, you are integrating your illegitimate source of money into the formal system. Through that, if that is not the case, have you heard of casinos and gamblings? Casinos. Goa helte, you play casinos. What do you do there? Whatever money that you are having, you buy some chips and you bet on it. So whatever illegitimate money that you are having, it can be diverted into some gambling activities or casinos. So minimum amount of money that you are putting, and you will show that you got a lot of money from those casinos and gamblings. Obviously, some percent of that money will go in the form of taxes. Rest of the amount can be converted into your white money. The black money, the black nature of money is turned into your white money. Gambling, is it legal in India? Gambling, legal? Supreme Court said you can. But whatever amount that you are earning, you have to pay certain tax on it. That's it. But it is also acting as a source, another source, through which you can convert your black money into your white money. So this is the major process which the money is being transformed through various stages, and it is converted into your white money. So again, what are the techniques involved and all? There are many techniques, many methods used in this money laundering. One is smurfing, like I told you. Hawala, that could be another technique. And again, cryptocurrencies, casinos, whatever, offshore accounts and tax havens. Tax havens means the destination country. It is treated as a heaven for a lot of companies because there is low amount of tax in that country, and you can easily transfer money, and there is a lot of anonymity, secrecy in that particular country. So your transactions cannot be easily given to any financial institution as well. So that makes easy tax havens. And on top of that, you have electronic money transfers. Electronic money transfers. What are the various electronic money transfers that you have? Electronic money transfers. How electronic money transfers can happen? How? Electronic money transfers. With the advent of e-commerce sector, advent of e-commerce, we have something called as wire transfers. Like there will be some account. Even there are a lot of spam transactions. Invoice fraudulent activities can happen. They ask you that to divert your money into this particular account, and again they call you back saying that that is not the original source of account that you need to repay for purchasing some items. Kindly transfer that amount to this designated account, which they will be asking you to do. So by giving you some fraudulent invoice as well, the original source of money which has to be reached, that is interchanged with the fraudulent means. By that way also you can circulate this money. That also happens with e-commerce sector. Like you can set up a e-commerce hub where nothing is visible, but you can dump a lot of money into that. So these are various methods through which money can be converted from illegitimate source to legitimate source. So now what are the impacts of this money laundering? What are the impacts of this money laundering? Inflation. Okay. So economic impact, economic security of a nation is threatened. Economic impact includes all the things. Next. Threat to security, financial stability. Is there a threat to financial stability? Yes. Next. So whatever is happening, obviously it leads to your national security threat as well. National security threat, because it is enabling some organized crime. Providing money to terrorisms. Yes. So whatever money is being generated, lot of criminal activities also gets involved up. All the illegitimate money is also being transferred to various terror outfits. Have you heard the cases of Jain's Hawala case? The first case which was witnessed in India. Jain's Hawala case. Jain's Hawala case. There are few cases, Hawala transactions which happened, and whatever illegitimate money that they are earned, it included a lot of politicians and bureaucrats in the central government. In the year 1988, Jain's Hawala case, the first time that in India a Hawala transaction case was witnessed. That is known as Jain's Hawala case, in which a high net worth politicians and bureaucrats were involved in some corruption charges, and those corrupted money was sent to some Hawalas. Hawala transactions happened, and obviously whatever money got transacted, that was sent to some anti-terrorist financing institution which was stationed in Kashmir. Mujahideen, some Islamic terror outfit which was stationed in Kashmir. For attacks which was happened in Kashmir at those times, this Jain Hawala transactions has a direct link. On those charges, even great politicians also got linked under this Jain's Hawala transactions. One among those renowned politicians is L.K. Advani as well. He is also held guilty under that. His name is also mentioned under this Jain's Hawala transaction. Very big politicians were included. So there are a lot of scandals after that which happened with respect to this Hawala transactions. So organized crimes and terror financing also happens because of this money laundering activities. So now, how do you prevent this? What are the measures which were taken by India? What are the measures taken by India, and how do you prevent money laundering? How? Under this Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002, whatever money laundering activities that we are adhering to, money laundering is treated as a criminal offense for the first time in India with the introduction of this Prevention of Money Laundering Act. So it is a criminal offense. Now recently also there have been numerous petitions which were put forth in the Supreme Court of India saying that adhering to this money laundering activities, if it is contributing to organized crime or terror financing, whatever is being included in this, it has to be treated as a heinous crime in India. Money laundering should be treated as a heinous crime in India. That is what the Supreme Court is directing the central government to look into this, and it should be treated as a criminal offense. On top of this, whatever the proceeds of the crime, whenever this money laundering act was found guilty, if it was brought into the picture, if it is under scrutiny, whatever the proceeds of the crime that you have what you call, you have foregone, you have undergone, that can be confiscated. Confiscation means, so that can be confiscated, and all the property or the assets or the money that has been involved by using this process of money laundering, that can be taken over by the government. You can take away the property, you can take away the asset, or you can take away whatever things this money laundering activity has undergone. Let's say the FDI, or if you have bought some big acres of land, some asset you have purchased, you have set up a big company, all the asset value of that company can be taken over by the government. You can confiscate all the properties of that particular crime which is linked with the money laundering activity. Confiscation of property was not included, but through an amendment to this initial money laundering act of 2002, you can even take away the property, whatever is there, which involved money laundering activity. That was amended in recent times. So confiscation of assets was brought into the picture. So finally, who is the designated authority to look into all these financial transactions? All these financial transactions in India, who will be looking into all these financial transactions? There is a separate department called as Financial Intelligence Unit of India, FIU, a separate unit, Financial Intelligence Unit, a separate wing was established under this Money Laundering Act of 2002. It will be sharing all the intelligence information relating to red flag alertations of your financial transactions. And also, there are some international conventions which make all the member countries to abide by the standards for adhering or overcoming this money laundering activities. So you have to follow by the recommendations of various financial institutions. So the designated competent authority who looks into irregular, illegitimate financial activities is Financial Intelligence Unit. And finally, the law enforcement agency. Who is the law enforcement agency with respect to money laundering? It is the Enforcement Directorate. They can inquire about whatever financial transactions are happening, and they can also take some law enforcement measures. Even this, the powers of Enforcement Directorate is also under question. It is also a case pending before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has directed to grant more powers to the EDs in order to confiscate the assets or to arrest people who are associated with whole process. Not only the owners, but whoever got involved in the whole process. In these three processes, whoever people has linkages with this process, they can also be legally punishable. So there needs to be provided more powers to the Enforcement Directorate in respect to inquiring about money laundering activities. That is also the ongoing recommendations directives which were given by the Supreme Court. The central government needs to take a call on this. The Supreme Court had directed to give more powers to EDs in terms of enforcement of money laundering activities, the actions which they enforce. So these are the basic things with respect to money laundering. So if you talk about few global international initiatives which were taken, apart from your national interventions, there are some global interventions taken up to prevent money laundering. One such thing is Vienna Convention, United Nations Vienna Convention Against Money Laundering. the 1998 Vienna Convention. It says that the major provision to avoid money laundering under this Vienna Convention is that domestic bank secrecy provisions should not interfere with international criminal investigation. So all the banks should give their confidential secrecy financial transaction details when there is some international criminal investigation happening, irrespective of the country. All the domestic bank secrecy provisions can be diluted to provide information to the International Criminal Investigation Department. And there is another global initiative, the Council of European Convention in 1990. The Council of European Convention in 1990. It lays down the principles. All the binding countries should adhere to the principles of international cooperation. International cooperation needs to be ensured under this Council of European Convention. And then there is something called as Financial Action Task Force, FATF. It was established in the year 1989. Financial Action Task Force. We often come across this Financial Action Task Force in news. It is an intergovernmental body which was basically established by the G7 countries. And the main objective or agenda of this Financial Action Task Force is to combat money laundering and terror financing. The main objective of this is to combat money laundering and terror financing. All the respective countries needs to follow. Whoever are the binding countries, almost there are 200 jurisdiction countries within the ambit of this Financial Action Task Force. All the countries have to follow the guidelines or the standards which were put forth under this Financial Action Task Force. They have to abide by that. International cooperation has to be ensured in order to overcome money laundering and terror financing in any part of the world. Almost 200 jurisdictions is a big number. So there is a global cooperation to counter this global menace. All right. So recently we often see this Financial Action Task Force in list because it has listed Pakistan under this grey list category. There are different kinds of lists in which it categorizes different countries under various lists, because whatever transactions were happening in Pakistan, they are mostly, their funds were being donated towards or transferred towards, diverted towards terror financing. That is why they were placed under this grey list category. That is why this FATF is in news recently. All right. So now write down a question with respect to money laundering. Money laundering poses a serious security threat. Money laundering poses a serious security threat to a country's economic sovereignty. Money laundering poses a serious security threat to a country's economic security, sovereignty. What is its significance for India? What is its significance for India? And what steps are required to be taken to control this menace? Money laundering poses a serious security threat to a country's economic sovereignty. What is its significance for India and what steps are required to be taken to control this menace?